Welcome back. Let's take a look at the results from Week 8 of the PLB action over the weekend.
And we can see interesting results, especially in the Marshall X Stadium. Once again, Benque United cannot win at home. They lost against Altitude on a 1-2 final score. Also, on 3 games on Sunday, Port Loyola got over Wagia 6-2 on a goal festival inside the Marian Jones complex, while at the People's Stadium in Orange Walk, Progreso stood their grounds and managed a scoreless draw against San Pedro Pirates, while Verdes got a comfortable victory against Internacional FC on a 5-0 score, and that gives Verdes an important momentum after that victory against Altitude. They now accumulate 8 goals in favor, 0 goals against. Very interesting numbers for Verdes FC as they grab the top spot. And then we can also see what happened on the weekend. On the highlights, we have important goals, especially on the game that played on Saturday night inside the Marshall X Stadium. Benque United against Altitude. Both teams urged on that win. Whoever wins goes on to the top 4 qualification to playoff. Daniel Jimenez, first opportunity, goes wide of goal, defended by Longsworth, and here an opportunity for Altitude. René Leslie almost coming close to that one, but on an outside position would be ruled off by the assistant after that intent by Moschamp was then the intent of René Leslie. Corner kick for Altitude. Ashley Tosa Torres would send it home for Altitude as they opened the score on first half added time. There was veteran Ashley Torres scoring the 1-0 just before the half, an important lead for Altitude. But starting off on second half, who else? Daniel Jimenez would square things up with a bomb from outside the box. No opportunity for Devin Longsword, and that would be the equalizing for Benque United. But Andres Orozco, their main man, Colombian striker inside the box, he would secure the victory for Altitude after this not so good coverage from the defense line of Benque United. Bounce that gets over goalkeeper, and a victory for Altitude away from home. Altitude gets their revenge after being down by Benque United in week number 1. We go on to the Norman Brasser Stadium, where Verdes received the visit of Internacional Football Club, still wearing the Bandits jersey, and early in the game, Jesse Agas, 13 minutes, he would open the score for Verdes FC after a brilliant combination from Tremaine Harris behind, and Jesse Agas to top it in for the opening score. Verdes would cruise on to victory after the goal by Jesse Agas. 22 minutes, and here would come a center and a brilliant header there by Jaro James. Seems as Verdes, that was Nicolas who would have his second goal of the tournament and second goal for Verdes in this match. 23 minutes, and Verdes was having good play so far. 64 minutes, this was on second half. Another assist by Tremaine Harris, brace of assists, and also a brace for Uruguayan striker for Verdes as he would send that home for the 3-0 lead on 65 minutes. But Verdes would have more on 68 minutes. 5 minutes later, Tremaine Harris another time sending another pass, while number 17, that would be Desmond Wade, securing Verdes' 4th goal as they would cruise on to victory with a hat-trick of assists for Tremaine Harris. Nothing to do in goal by Anderson as Verdes was having an important game. 78 minutes, another pass from Tremaine Harris would find Alen Sayala, who would spin around the defenders, pulls the trigger, and Verdes would have their 5th. But a poker of assists for Tremaine Harris, underrated player, doing very well with 4 assists. And Ayala would secure the 5th goal for Verdes as they get a comfortable win against an international football club that so far is the only team that hasn't added 3 points, as they have 2 draws as their best results so far. Let's take a look at what's coming up next for the weekend. We have important matchup as inside the Isidoro Beaton Stadium on Saturday. We have International Football Club going against Port Loyola that had a brilliant victory against Wagia. Also on Saturday night inside the Michael Ashcroft Stadium in Independence, Altitude will receive Progreso Football Club that has 3 consecutive draws against the big teams like Verdes, Pirates, and also Port Loyola. 2 games on Sunday. Wagia receiving the visit of San Pedro Pirates inside the Carl Ramos Stadium, and what's also called, or starting to be called, as the Derby of the West. Verdes will square up against Benca United inside the Norman Brasser Stadium in San Ignacio.
What we'll do, we'll go to a break, and when we come back, we'll be taking a look at Altitude moving up in the standing. A very important move by Altitude.
Yeah.
It was a huge win as they move into the 4th position in the standing. So we'll be talking about that, Misael. And I want to talk a little bit about Marco Zavala and Ashley Torres, 2 of the most dangerous players when it comes to set piece. And both of them are defenders. So we'll be talking about those 2 players tonight. We'll be back. Welcome back. We're in the final segment of the PLB segment. But what we want to do, we want to take a look at the standings, and we want to take a look at the road to CONCACAF before we talk about Marco Zavala and Ashley Torres.
As we see Verdes grab the top spot after their victory against Internacional with 17 points. Pirates, after the draw, they managed to keep the first spot due to goal differential with 15 points. Third spot is for Port Loyola with 15 points also, but a 10-goal differential. Altitude, with that victory against Benca United, jumps onto the 4th spot with 12 points. Progreso is 5th with 11 points, but you can see an important factor for Progreso. 5 draws, just 1 loss so far for Progreso FC. Benca United is 6th with a total of 11 points and a -1 in goal difference, while Wagia is 7th with 3 points, -18 goals in difference for Wagia. So they have been conceding a lot of goals, while International Football Club is last with a total of 2 points, product of just 2 victories and a -13 in goal differential.
Let's take a look at the road to CONCACAF. Very interesting.
That's interesting now to see Altitude with the win. They managed to keep in touch with Verdes right there. Very close. 44 points for Altitude, 44 points for Verdes. San Pedro Pirates has dropped because, you know, they have been dropping points home and away. So they are 3rd spot with 38 points. Port Loyola is 4th with 31. Progreso 5th with 29. Benca United 6th with 27. Wagia is 7th with 17, and 8th last spot for Internacional with just 10 points, product of almost 2 seasons for Internacional.
Key matchups going into week number 9.
Yeah.
Altitude hosting Progreso. Let's talk a little bit about Altitude hosting Progreso, because like you mentioned, 3 straight draws at home, but this Progreso team also performs well on the road.
2 at home and 1 at Belize City with Port Loyola. So inside the Marian Jones, you know, they got that point against Port Loyola. So they are a very, very strong defensive team. They have shown that they kept the Verdes to a 2-2 draw.
They have national team goalkeeper.
National team goalkeeper, national team defender on there on Tramel Gillett. So, you know, they have solid defense for Progreso. So Altitude, you know, the victory against Benca United is a momentum for them after, you know, rebouncing after that loss against Verdes. So, you know, that that keeps the league, very, very interesting to see not only who will make it to the top 4 for the playoffs, but also who will make it to CONCACAF. Their altitude against Verdes, that's the matchup for now. San Pedro was very, very close, but they have been dropping points, so they're a bit far now.
So it will not be a pushover game come Saturday night inside the Michael Ashbrook Stadium. Altitude will need to come out and play not only good football, but excellent football against this Progreso team. A draw will not help Altitude.
At all, because then Verdes has a matchup against Benque United, which is not easy. Benque United has defeated Verdes, but they are playing at home also, so none of the teams would want to drop points because they want to keep their spot, but also they want to keep points on the CONCACAF standings. So it will be very, very interesting matchups between Progreso and Altitude inside the Michael Ashcroft Stadium, and then on the Norman Brasser Stadium, Verdes Benque United. San Pedro has a difficult visit to Waguia because at home Waguia is not the Waguia that we see losing away from home. They lost against Verdes on a 2-1, 3-1 score. So, many variables there on that matchup between San Pedro and Waguia. And then we have the Internacional against Port Loyola. It seems that Port Loyola has, in theory, the easiest game because Internacional has not won yet on the tournament, So, so far they seem as the weakest team without victory. So, Port Loyola has the go-ahead on that match.
I believe if Waguia can hold San Pedro to a scoreless first half, that will be a win for Waguia going into the second half, because what I have noticed from Waguia of late, that whenever you score first against them, they seems to bow their head. Now, Waguia is a team that can strike early. They have proven in the opening season, in the closing season, that they can score early in the ball game, but holding on to the lead, securing the lead, that is where the problem comes in for Waguia. Yeah,
that has been a factor. We saw it against Internacional. They were so close to tying that game, and until the end they managed to score the winning goal. So it's very hard for Waguia to score goals, and then when it comes to scoring early, they cannot maintain that lead, and that's, many defensive efforts have to be implemented there in Waguia. We saw Middleton out of that match against Internacional, so when Middleton is not in, then Waguia suffers many in the defensive line, So interesting to see what's the score, or what will the score will be against San Pedro Pirates, because Waguia needs the points. They need to at least get closer onto Benque United on that 6th spot, but for now they are quite far.
Marco Zavala, the defender for Verdes, normally set the tone when it comes to scoring. Verdes have not been scoring a lot of goals lately, but we must give them props. 8 goals in 2 games.
Yeah. And it could be a factor, the change of coach,
Coach Gabriel at the helm. Right.
Being the head coach for Verdes, sometimes it's the little details. But Zavala was scoring for Verdes more than any other player. He had decisive goals against Benque United. So he had been scoring more than the attacking players, and that's a factor for Verdes. When they most needed the goals, their defender was there to respond, and that's very good of Zavala, giving Verdes that guarantee defensively, but also adding up on the offensive side and scoring important goals or important points.
So the defense line for Benque Police will need to mark Zavala very closely, because Misael, for some reason, these guys know to find a crack in the defense.
And sometimes games are so close that set pieces are the ones that decide a game, and that's where you need to be very, very keen on how to mark on the corners and on the free kicks. We don't often see many teams taking advantage of those set pieces, either it be a corner kick or a free kick. Many teams waste those opportunities, but there are teams like Verdes or Altitude that they take advantage. They have Zavala, they have Ashley Torres that, they will appear when it comes to set pieces inside the box.
And I just want to mention that TNC will be carrying the Verdes Benque Police game on Sunday live. Saturday night, we'll be coming from the Isidoro Beaton Stadium to cover the game there with FC International FC and Port Loyola. So those are the 2 games that will be televised for the weekend. What we'll do, we'll go to a break, and then when we come back, we'll be in the BEBL half hour. We'll be back. Welcome back as we're in the BEBL half hour. Let's take a look at the result from Week 6 games. Some huge game played over the weekend. Saw Western Ballers playing at home against the San Pedro Tiger Sharks, and it was the Ballers on Friday night, 87-69, a much-needed win for the San Pedro, for the Kaya Western Ballers. Also on Friday night, Orange Walk Running Rebels on the road inside the Belize Civic Center against the Defenders. Defenders trying to bounce off the win from the Hurricanes, but it wasn't supposed to happen as the Orange Walk Running Rebels with a 91-83 win over the Defenders. We move on to Saturday inside the Punta Gorda Sporting Complex, where the home team, Panthers, who plays very strong at home, hosted the Belmopan Red Tigers, but it was the Red Tigers in that game with 106, the highest scoring output so far in the BEBL, with 106-91 victory for the Red Tigers. And inside the Russell Chisa Garcia Auditorium, Griga Dream Ballers hosting the Hurricanes, who was looking to bounce back off the loss against the Defenders, but the Defenders, the Dream Ballers, sorry, they were ready for the Hurricanes as they came out with the win, 85-76. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the weekend as we move into the Belize Civic Center, where the Defenders hosting the Orange Walk Running Rebels, and this one turned out to be a very exciting game. As you saw, Farron Lariana right there stretching, but this guy right here, Lorenzo Dillard, with the 3 ball right there for the Belize City Defenders. Down low, Brian White. And this is what I want to see from Brian White. This is the Brian White that we know. This is the way that he plays. This is his style of basketball, getting the ball down low in the paint and abusing his defender. Here we see Nigel Jones spotting up from behind the 3-point line, and he nails the 3-point ball for the Defenders. But the Orange Walk Running Rebels behind the scoring of James Stanback. Stanback right there with the putback. He had 30 points in the ball game to go along with 4 rebounds, and 36 minutes was the guy of the night for the Orange Walk Running Rebels. Alonzo Dillard there driving to the hole, getting the ball to go. But like I mentioned, Stanback, the guy right here, along with TJ Hall, who has been added to the roster for the Orange Walk Running Rebels. Brian White with 20 points in the ball game to go along with 14 rebounds in 32 minutes. And at the end of the ball game, it was the Orange Walk Running Rebels pulling off the 92-85 victory. We now move into the Sacred Heart Auditorium, where Western Ballers looking for their 3rd straight home win. And yes, they would get it with a strong play of Mark Garden. Mark Garden in the ball game had 39 points to go along with 7 rebounds in 34 minutes. I'm telling you, Mark Garden is for real. This guy can really, really play basketball. High level right there. He received the pass from Jamie Carbajal. He was fouled going to the basket, went to the free throw line, complete the 3-point play. 3 of his 39 points, a huge night for Mark Garden. Not only can Mark Garden shoot, but he can also rebound. He had 7 rebounds in the ball game to help the Kaya Western Ballers to the victory at the half, 46-32 lead for the Western Ballers. Tiger Sharks, they were in this ball game for a bit, but too much Mark Garden for them. Mark Garden was just too much for the San Pedro Tiger Sharks. I see in the 3rd quarter, 50-41. As the Western Ballers continue to hold on to the lead. They took it right into the 4th quarter, never relinquished the lead going into the 4th quarter. And when it was all said and done, Western Ballers winning their 3rd straight game at home against the struggling San Pedro Tiger Sharks. But according to Coach Rico Black, Tiger Sharks will revamp. We'll be seeing new faces come into the second half of this BEBL season. Now we move into the Russell Chiste Garcia Auditorium, folks. A monster matchup. The Hurricanes in town. The stadium jammed to capacity. The fans came out to see the Hurricanes go up against their homeboys, the Griga Dream Ballers. And it was all Edgar Mitchell in this ball game in the first half. Edgar Mitchell with 5 3-pointers in the first half. The first one there from the boogeyman, nailing the 3-ball. And he was focused. He came into this game poised to help the Griga Dream Ballers pick up yet another win. It was Victor as Edgar Mitchell once again. And there you saw Chris Frazier. But here comes my guy right here. Evans, Victor Evans, keeping the Hurricanes in the ball game at 24-20. It was tied at 26-20 in the second half. And the layup there by Edgar Mitchell. The only 2 points of the ball game for Edgar Mitchell. 5 3-pointers in the ball game. Edgar Mitchell finished the night with 19 points. And to end the first half, Edgar Boogie Mitchell from way behind the 3-point line, nailing the 3-ball, and the fans just went crazy inside the Russell Chiste Garcia Auditorium. And the onslaught continues as we see 62-46 in the third quarter for the Dream Ballers. Hurricane made a run in the fourth quarter, and Victor Evans was very instrumental in the run that the Hurricanes made in the fourth quarter of this ball game. A 15-point lead dwindled in front of the eyes of the Griga Dream Ballers, all because of Victor Evans. But when inserted into the ball game, Dominique Woodson, the big man that the Green Ballers brought in, he had 4 quick points to stop the bleeding, and the Griga Dream Ballers went on to pull off the victory, 85-76 victory over the Belize Hurricanes, giving the Belize Hurricanes their second loss in the season. What we'll do, we'll go to a break. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at the standings and the upcoming games for this weekend. We'll be back. As we welcome you back, let's take a look at the standings going into week number 7. You see the Belize Hurricanes still sitting on top of the leaderboard, 4 wins and 2 losses with 10 points. The Defenders right there in second with the same record. The Griga Dream Ballers 4-2 with 10 points. Running Rebels 3-3 with 9 points. So it's very close right there. Western Ballers still in the hunt. Red Tigers in the hunt. PG Panthers with 7 points. They should be in the 6th position. San Pedro Tiger Sharks, like I mentioned, they're struggling, but we will see what Coach Rico Black have under his sleeve. He has mentioned several times that the San Pedro Tiger Sharks that we are seeing now will not be the San Pedro Tiger Sharks that will end the season. Let's take a look at the upcoming games. Huge games on the schedule coming up. On Friday, the Western Ballers will be hosting the Griga Dream Ballers inside the Sacred Heart Auditorium. Hurricanes will be hosting a Belmopan Red Tigers, and this is going to be a very interesting game, talking about the game between the Hurricanes and the Belmopan Red Tigers. On Saturday, Tiger Sharks will be going up against the Defenders. This game is supposed to be played at the San Pedro High School Auditorium. We'll see if the venue will be changed or not. And also on Saturday, Orange Walk Running Rebels will be hosting the Punta Gorda Panthers. It should be a win for the Orange Walk Running Rebels, but we will have to wait and see how it will play out. I just want to mention that in the game between Belmopan Red Tigers, who scored 106 points, and the PG Panthers, it was Jeremiah Tony for the Belmopan Red Tigers with 29 points to go along with 5 rebounds in 36 minutes. But my guy, Tavian Davis, he's leading the league in scoring. He scored 43 points in the loss. He had 7 rebounds in 38 minutes. But the surge of the Griga Dream Ballers, who lost their first 2 games and settled in under coach Derek Morgan, playing well at home, they will be tested on the road. For the Kaya Western Ballers, we know that Richard Smith III, he is out with an injury. Also, Kieran Molina out with an injury. Who will Coach Juan rely on apart from Mark Garden? Mark Garden, he is a gamer. This guy is always ready, but who will step up to support Mark Garden in this game? If Coach Juan cannot find that individual or that 2 person that can step up, then it will be a long night for the Kaya Western Ballers. because of the fact that the way how this Griga Dream Ballers team have been playing lately. Edgar Boogie Mitchell, Devon Campbell, Jaheim Siego. No, Jaheim Siego will be coming off the bench. Jaheim Siego is a terror in this league right now. He's playing his best basketball. He's on top of his game right now. And then when you look at the newcomer that they brought in, talking about Dominique Woodson, the big man who came into the game on Saturday when Hurricanes made their run, a 13-0 run in the fourth quarter. Immediately he was inserted into the ball game by Coach Morgan. He came into the game, scored 2 quick points, and had 3 rebounds in less than a minute and a half. And so it shows the importance now of this guy, Dominique Woodson, who played his first game, his BEBL debut, and he was impressive. He had 15 points in the ball game to help the Griga Dream Ballers pick up the win against the Hurricanes. So the Griga Dream Ballers, they're well oiled. They're kicking on all cylinders. They have Quinton Bowen. He's on the injury list. That's why he didn't play on Saturday night. But I hope that Quinton Bowen will be back. I had an opportunity to talk to him after the game, and he said it's just a slight muscle ache, and so that's the reason why he was not in the ball game. But we are hoping to see Quinton Bowen back because the bench that Coach Morgan has to work with, I think he have the best bench in the BEBL compared to, I would say, Orange Walk Running Rebels right there behind the Griga Dream Ballers when it comes to bench play. So it's going to be a very interesting game for Coach Juan. He will be at home, or is the game will be playing in, he'll be playing at home again. So another road game for Coach Juan and the Kaya Western Ballers against the Griga Dream Ballers. And the game that also that we will need to watch is the game inside the Civic Center between the Belmopan Red Tigers and the Belize City Defenders. The Red Tigers, they are playing excellent basketball right now. And this guy, Jeremiah Tony, he's leading the charge for the Belmopan Red Tigers. Like I mentioned, 29 points with 5 rebounds in 36 minutes. I think this guy will put up he will have another huge game. He'll put up big numbers against the defenders. But the defenders, after coming off the loss to the Orange Walk Running Rebels, will be poised under Coach Matthew Smiling to pick up the victory. They won against the Hurricanes. It was huge for them. And then Orange Walk coming into town, I thought that the defenders would have taken care of business against Orange Walk Running Rebels. They did not do that. They came out of that game with a loss. And so they will have to rise to the occasion once again against this Red Tigers team, because this team is no slouch. Red Tigers will come into the Civic Center. They will play Red Tigers basketball, so the defenders will have to be ready. Nigel Jones will have to be ready. Lorenzo Dillard will have to be ready. And the rest of the crew, the players, them for the Belize City Defenders. So this game is going to be a very, very interesting game. And, the BEBL is playing, it is being played at a very high level, I must say that. The games, they are very competitive, and so it's very good for basketball in the country of Belize. I was reading a Facebook post that went up against one of my favorite players, Greg Chippy Rodon. And some of the comments, I really didn't like some of the comments. We should welcome international players into our country. It should raise the level of play for our players. Look at, and I'm always going to use this guy as an example, look at Jaheim Siego. Jaheim Siego, to me, can match up with any one of the international players that is being brought in to play with the respective clubs. So, we need the international players in the country to not to say to raise the level of our game, but what they bring with them, they bring some excitement with them. But Jaheim Siego, he's right there. Jaheim Siego of the Griga Dream Ballers, he is right there. He is Mr. Highlight Reel. This guy, if you go back and put his clips together, this guy is dunking crazy dunks in the BEBL so far. And so he's right up there with the international players. So I appeal to the rest of the Belizean players, don't let the international players, in a sense, be a threat to you. This is where you want to show up to work out, you want to put in your workout, you want to do your best, because we have Belizean players that can play to the level of the international players. You got Glency Lopez right there. Glency Lopez, one of the top guard in the BEBL. He's matching up right there with Lorenzo Dillard, with Devon Campbell. and Mark Garden, he's matching up with these guys. And so, you know, we are not losing it when it comes to our Belizean athlete talking about basketball. Now, what some of the comments they were talking about is the salary. And yeah, I might have a thing to say with that, because I believe that Jaheim Siego should be right up there. You know, and I know some of the salaries that some of the international players they are making from a certain team, but I will not reveal that on the show. You know, the owner of that said team trusted me to tell me what his payroll looks like and who is making what, and so I will hold that to my heart for that. But I believe that Jaheim Siego should be played. If not, should be paid. If not this season, next season I want to see this guy up in the echelon of salary. So as we're ready to close off our show tonight, I want to leave you with this Bible verse from Galatians 1:10. It says, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. I want to leave you with that tonight. Tune in next week, Tuesday, as we bring you another edition of TNC Sports Tonight. Good night.